Look, we all know the drill. A recruiter will shake your hand, flash a grin, promise you tuition, travel, a steady paycheck, but what they will not tell you, at least not up front, until you get them one-on-one or you've already signed on the dotted lines at MEPS, is that 1 in 5 people who join the military come home with PTSD. Now, that's not a footnote. That's a fifth of everyone who raises their right hand and pledges an oath to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. And while you're picturing new boots and a signing bonus that they promised you, they're already counting you against their monthly quota. Today, we're going to go through the sales pitch line by line, matching it to all the fine print that they throw at you and they hope that you never read. Recruitment ads, they look just like action movies. Fast cuts, guitar riffs, maybe a shot of a helicopter over turquoise water. The message is always the same. See the world, get money for college, learn a trade. That's how they got me, Marine Corps veteran, 0121, personnel admin. They pick jobs that sound so civilian friendly. Communications, IT, logistics. So you imagine yourself strolling straight into a 6-figure tech career after 4 tidy little years. But here's the kicker. The commercial never shows the fine print on the enlistment contract. That tiny, often overlooked phrase, needs of the military, needs of the Marine Corps is what they always told me. That wipes out every single guarantee, every single handshake promise, every single piece of paper you sign. You signed up to be a cyber network specialist? Cool. Congratulations. Now you're manning a turret on top of a Humvee, taking shots at some poor brown kid who's just defending his home from a place you should never been in the first place. The job they promised you is more of a wish list than a reservation. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or Marines can rewrite it at any time they're short somewhere else. Your carefully chosen path, it can vanish with a single stroke of a pen, replaced by whatever urgent demand the service has. Let's talk numbers that recruiters conveniently leave off that whiteboard in the high school cafeteria. According to the VA's most recent survey, about 20% of veterans screen positive for PTSD in any given year. Think about that. That's 5 times the civilian rate. 5 times. Depression hits 1 in 3. Alcohol abuse shows up in roughly a third of veterans. Opiate abuse in 6 to 8%. And every single day, an average of 17 former service members die by suicide. These aren't just statistics. They're devastating lifetime diagnoses that trail people long after the uniform is folded into a plastic tote in the attic, never to be seen again. Recruiters aren't even required to hand out those statistics. And most new recruits never think to ask. Why? Because at 18, like myself, the brain treats probability like a rumor. And the idea of personal vulnerability feels like a distant, irrelevant concept. Maybe you're considering starting a family, or maybe you already have one. The recruiter will assure you that the military is family friendly and they have spousal support groups and on-base childcare. What they don't emphasize is that the Pentagon can and will move you every 2 to 3 years, sometimes with as little as 4 months' notice. Now, that was fine for me. I was a single, young bachelor guy who wanted to see the world, but a lot of you aren't like that. A lot of you are joining because you're in the poverty draft and you're trying to figure out a way to make ends meet for your family. This is not the way. Each relocation isn't just a change of address. It pulls your kids out of school. It wipes out a spouse's job and career momentum. It completely resets your entire support network. Imagine rebuilding your life, your friendships, your entire community every couple of years. Then come to the deployments. They can stretch 15 months if the mission creeps, and satellite internet and a plywood hooch is often the only thing that gets you face-to-face contact with your significant other. It's no surprise that divorce rates among active duty enlisted sit about 50% higher than the civilian average. That stress fracture in family life often starts the day you leave for basic and only deepens from there. Ever wonder why a recruiter will drive 2 hours to pick you up for a practice ASVAB exam, but the DMV clerk won't even hand you a form without an appointment? It's so simple. Recruiters have monthly production quotas. Miss 2 in a row and they can be relieved of duty and sent back to their command or sent back where they don't want to go, which is probably the drill field. That intense pressure, what that does is it funnels straight into their sales pitch. They are legally allowed to gloss over drawbacks as long as they don't put an outright falsehood in writing. They can talk up the Montgomery GI Bill, for instance, while conveniently forgetting to mention the monthly housing stipend only pays if you attend class full time. I found that out personally. Or that the tuition cap changes by state, potentially leaving you with thousands of dollars in education debt. The very reason a lot of you, including myself, joined to begin with. They can hype up that cash bonus, but forget, just randomly forget to mention the clawback clause that demands repayment if you're separated early for any reason, including any medical issues. Recruiters have an unrestricted access to public high schools, thanks to policies like No Child Left Behind. Thanks, George W. Bush. They can pull 14-year-olds into a future soldier program called the Delayed Entry Program. That's what I was a part of. This Delayed Entry Program, it counts against their local quota years before graduation, so that way they can meet their numbers without really meeting their numbers. They're just hyper used car salesmen. This isn't random. Outreach efforts consistently focus on zip codes where college attendance is low and unemployment is high. In other words, they fish where the fish have nowhere else to swim. It's called the poverty draft. That's not an accident. It's calculated business model designed to leverage economic desperation and limited options. They're not just looking for bodies, they're looking for the easiest ones to convince. Once you're in, the system largely decides when you get to leave. Remember stop loss? Have you ever heard about that before? I can tell you about stop loss. I was the E4 calling old guys after 9/11 who thought they were getting out, that they had to report with their uniforms for duty because they thought they were leaving. No. Stop loss says, get right back here on the job. It's a backdoor extension of enlistment affected more than 50,000 troops during the Iraq surge, forcing them to serve beyond their contracted time. This contract you sign can stretch from 4 to 8 years without your consent if your unit is slated to deploy. Maybe you thought the hard part was over when you ended your contract. The VA backlog says otherwise. Average wait times for a first-time disability claim still hover around 6 months. And during that stretch, bills don't pause, the world don't stop moving. Veterans with other than honorable discharges, often linked to undiagnosed PTSD or traumatic brain injury developed while in service, lose access to GI Bill tuition and VA healthcare completely. Employers talk up veterans' preference, but a 2022 ZipRecruiter survey found that vets are 30% more likely than non-vets to be underemployed at their first civilian job. The skill transition gap is real. 4 years turning wrenches on an airframe does not automatically translate to an FAA A&P license. The adventure narrative stops, but the small print keeps on small printing, often for decades after your service ends. If any of this surprises you, please share this. Let the 17-year-old doom-scrolling TikTok see it before any recruiter slides into their DMs. Knowledge is free, and in this case, you might save someone from a lifetime of PTSD or even save their life. So what are you to do if you're in the poverty draft with little to no opportunities or, an idea of how the hell you're going to get out of your own hometown, just like I did? College isn't the only route, despite what recruiters might imply. Union apprenticeships pay from day one, offering valuable skills and a clear career path forward. Community colleges offer trade programs that feed directly into 70K plus jobs, often with local connections. Recruiters love to frame the military as the single escalator out of town, your only way to a better future. But if you look past the uniform, you'll find that there are stairs, elevators, even trampolines to get you the hell out of Dodge in whatever situation you might find yourself in. Don't get caught in a trick bag by these used car salesmen. Here are some of the greatest lies that recruiters recycle again and again and again. Lie number 1, you can pick any job and you're locked into it. The reality of this, the military can reclassify you based on the needs of the Marine Corps or whatever your chosen service is. It doesn't matter. Your path can change overnight. Lie number 2, if you hate it, you can just get out. No. Early outs are at the service's discretion, and most contracts are 4 to 8 year commitments, split between active duty and inactive reserve. You're in it for the long haul, buddy. Lie number 3, the Montgomery GI Bill covers all college costs. Boy, do I know about this one. Tuition caps, housing delays, and yearly cuts to the program leave plenty of gaps, often requiring you to take out student loans anyway. Another lie. You'll never see combat unless you're infantry. No. Every Marine a rifleman. Convoys get hit, bases get mortared, and combat support definitely still rolls outside of the green zone, putting you directly into harm's way. Lie number 5. You'll get taken care of for life. Ain't no way. Care is contingent on your discharge status, funding battles in Congress, and how quickly you can decode the bureaucracy designed to frustrate you and make you claw for every entitlement and benefit you have as a veteran. Look, if you've already served and recruiters lied to you like they did to me, tell us your story in the comments below. Your personal account is probably the biggest and only anecdote to those glossy brochures. Like and subscribe if you want more myth busting about the United States military that doesn't fit into a 15-second recruiter elevator sales pitch. As we all know by now, both Twitch and YouTube are suppressing left-wing content and left-wing voices. So by hitting that subscribe here on YouTube and following on Twitch, you're helping this channel push through that suppression and making it undeniable to the algorithm. Thank you so much.